As we look at the United Nations in New York City, we see a flurry of activity, with media and reports covering the ongoing crisis and the international community's efforts to respond. In the face of escalating tensions, the United States and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, work tirelessly to de-escalate the situation through diplomatic channels, seeking to avoid further military confrontation. In western Ukraine, the consequences of military escalation are on full display, painting a harrowing picture of human suffering and destruction. Buildings are ablaze, ravaged by missile strikes launched by Russian military forces as they invade the urban areas of this historic city. The haunting images of western Ukraine's destruction serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of war, and a call to action for the international community to intervene and prevent further escalation of this already dangerous conflict. As the world watches, Western Ukraine's resilient citizens strive to cope with their new reality and rebuild their lives amidst the chaos. The clock ticks and the world watches, hoping that diplomacy can prevail and prevent further escalation of this already dangerous conflict. The stakes have never been higher, and the actions taken by the international community in the coming days will shape the future of the region and the world at large. Want to see more? You can now binge watch all episodes of our series on our website. Get started today and explore the potential of the next world war. At the United Nations headquarters in New York City, world leaders and presidents convene for a high-stakes meeting. They engage in fervent debates, seeking to find the most appropriate response to the rapidly escalating crisis. With the situation reaching a critical point, the atmosphere is tense, and the weight of their decisions is felt by everyone present. Nations around the world watch with bated breath, grappling with the reality of an escalating conflict that could have far-reaching consequences on a global scale. As a barrage of missiles are launched from Russia, targeting western Ukraine, the situation rapidly spirals further out of control. US and NATO military leadership, alongside politicians, watch in horror as the missiles approach Central Europe, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The growing crisis has pushed the world to the brink of catastrophe, with the stakes higher than ever before. The international community is gripped with fear and uncertainty as they witness the potential ignition of a full-scale war. The consequences of such an event would be devastating, not only for the countries directly involved, but for the entire global community. As tensions rise and the balance of power teeters on the edge, the world desperately hopes for a resolution that will avert a disastrous conflict and restore peace and stability to the region. Politicians, visibly shaken by the rapidly deteriorating situation, struggle to convey a sense of calm to the anxious general public, watching the crisis unfold and expand across the globe. With the world on the brink of a potential catastrophe, maintaining public order becomes an increasingly difficult task. Meanwhile, in a classified military base in Europe, highly advanced stealth bombers prepare for takeoff. As they roar into the sky, the gravity of their mission is palpable. These stealth bombers could be the harbingers of a deadly retaliation against Russia for their reckless actions, a decision that could change the course of history and plunge the world into a devastating conflict. In a sudden and unexpected move, Russia severs all diplomatic talks with the United States and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. This abrupt halt in communication sends shockwaves through the international community, heightening tensions and exacerbating an already volatile situation. As the silence from Russia continues, the rest of the world speculates on the implications of this isolationist stance. Questions abound, as nations attempt to decipher the reasons behind this decision and the potential consequences for the ongoing crisis. The cessation of communications only serves to deepen the mistrust and suspicions that have long plagued relations between Russia and its global counterparts. With every passing moment, concerns about the escalating situation and the risk of a full-blown conflict grow more palpable. Meanwhile, leaders of the United States and NATO scramble to re-establish channels of communication with Russia, hoping to bring them back to the negotiating table. The urgency of these efforts is underscored by the realization that a lack of dialogue could lead to disastrous misunderstandings and miscalculations that could further propel the world toward war. As nations around the globe watch in trepidation, they begin to prepare for the possibility of a world without diplomacy. Military forces worldwide are put on high alert, with contingency plans being devised and resources mobilized to address any potential threats. News outlets and social media platforms are abuzz with speculation and fear as people everywhere grapple with the uncertainty of the future. The atmosphere is tense and fraught with anxiety as the world collectively holds its breath, waiting to see what will happen next. Despite the seemingly insurmountable challenges, the United States and NATO remain steadfast in their commitment to finding a peaceful resolution to the crisis. They continue to explore alternative avenues of communication and diplomatic strategies, refusing to give up on the possibility of averting an all-out war. As the clock ticks down and the world teeters on the edge of a potentially catastrophic conflict, it becomes increasingly clear that the choices made in the coming days and weeks will have a profound impact on the fate of not only Ukraine and Russia, but the entire global community. The world watches and waits, hoping that diplomacy and reason will ultimately prevail. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay informed about the latest World War III worst-case scenario episodes. Thank you for watching. To stay up to date with our latest releases, all you've got to do is follow us across our various social media platforms. We're talking Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, we're there. Thank you for watching our channel. There's a whole lot more where that came from. Interested in binge-watching all episodes today? Head over to our website to access our entire media library using the URL link in the description. Ready to test your World War II knowledge? Which German army general tried to assassinate Adolf Hitler? Provide your answer or response in the YouTube comment box below. Stay tuned for the right answer. The answer is Klaus von Stauffenberg. In a shocking turn of events, Russia's president signs and declares a formal declaration of war between Russia and Ukraine. Amidst rising tensions and the rapidly escalating conflict, this announcement has sent shockwaves around the world, leaving global leaders and citizens alike reeling from the implications. However, in a surprising move, the Russian president suspiciously fails to call out the United States and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, for their recent provocative military behaviors. This omission raises eyebrows and fuels speculation about Russia's true intentions and strategy, leaving experts to ponder the reasons behind this unexpected decision. As the global community tries to understand the reasons behind this decision, experts and analysts put forth various theories. Some argue that Russia is attempting to keep the conflict limited to the region, focusing on their immediate objectives in Ukraine. Others suggest that this is a strategic move to prevent further escalation involving the United States and NATO, potentially steering clear of a broader confrontation. Meanwhile, nations around the world are grappling with the consequences of this declaration of war. Diplomatic efforts are being redoubled, with countries scrambling to find a way to de-escalate the situation and prevent further violence. The future of Eastern Europe hangs in the balance, as the international community seeks to navigate this perilous situation. Regardless of the motivations, the declaration of war has made the situation in Eastern Europe all the more precarious. With diplomatic channels closing and tensions mounting, the world is left to wonder what will come next in this high-stakes game of international chess. As nations scramble to respond to the new reality, the world watches with bated breath, hoping that a peaceful resolution can still be found before the situation spirals further out of control and leads to a devastating, large-scale war. The stakes have never been higher, and the urgency to find a path to peace is palpable. As the crisis unfolds, the United States and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, continue their attempts to increase military escalatory measures, hoping to counterbalance Russia's aggression. However, their actions are met with frustration from Ukraine, which is feeling the brunt of the conflict. Ukraine's leadership grows increasingly concerned that the US and NATO are still avoiding a direct but necessary conflict with Russia at the expense of their nation's livelihood. The situation has left Ukrainians feeling abandoned, as they struggle to fend off Russian forces with limited international assistance. In response, Ukraine calls for a more forceful intervention from their allies in the West. They argue that the current strategy is not sufficient to deter Russia and protect Ukraine from the devastating consequences of the ongoing conflict. They demand a more aggressive stance and direct involvement from NATO and the US to halt the Russian advance. As the international community weighs its options, the delicate balance of power in the region hangs in the balance. The world watches closely to see how the situation will unfold, with the potential for a larger, more devastating conflict looming large. The stakes have never been higher, and the urgency to find a path to peace is palpable. However, the question remains: how far are the US and NATO willing to go to protect Ukraine and maintain global stability? The mounting moral and ethical demands from Ukraine to protect its sovereignty and people put immense pressure on the United States and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. Caught between their desire to avoid a direct conflict with Russia and the desperate pleas from Ukraine, the United States and NATO are forced to make an unthinkable decision. With the weight of the world on their shoulders, they decide to proceed with formally declaring war against Russia. The declaration of war sends shockwaves around the globe. Few had anticipated that the situation would escalate to such an extent, and the world is left reeling from the news. The stage is set for a conflict that will shape the course of history. Nations are left to grapple with the reality of a world at war once again, and as leaders scramble to prepare their forces, the future remains uncertain. The consequences of this decision will undoubtedly reverberate for generations to come. Want to see more? You can now binge-watch all episodes of our series on our website. Get started today and explore the potential of the next world war. Arm yourself with the power of advanced AI for video creation, high-quality copy generation, a diverse range of freelance services, top-notch hosting options, and the ultimate online privacy protection. Don't miss out on exclusive discounts and promotions. Sign up today by clicking on the links in the description. Your journey towards creating compelling content starts now.